They done got you, boy.
All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Doc and the Radical program. How you doing today, Doc?
Man, I'm good. I'm glad that first week is down of going back to class. So I'm good, feeling good. My spirits are up.
Excellent. That's what I like. I want to give a welcome to Deacons of Reality and Twin Pyramid. They are the first two in the house. Peace and blessings, family. Welcome.
Welcome.
All right, so our topic today, police are black people killers. The reality is right in your face. You know, Doc, most times, well, I shouldn't say most times, but there comes a time where we see the problem, we understand the problem, we understand the answer, but we don't have the courage to do what the answer dictates to solve the problem. And I think that when we're dealing with police and their crookedness, a lot of times we're faced with, I know I should whoop this person's ass. Well, I don't want to go ahead. I don't want to push it to that level.
Yeah.
Or I feel like I should say something, but I don't want to push it to that level. And I think that's a way that they, use their control over our people. And it's not just a black people issue, right? Police brutality affects all, but we're dealing with us. And so in the history, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, but the history of the police comes from catching the runaway slaves or something to that effect. You want to break that down for us, Doc?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing when you really begin to talk about the role of quote unquote law enforcement. And many of the law enforcement officers were they called them patty rollers, rollers. Some people refer to them as patties. And they were principally non-land owning poor whites whose contribution to the system of white supremacy was the working to suppress black folk. And they glean, it's one of the sick wages of whiteness that they glean from just their skin privilege. These are unrefined white folk who are in every way taking pride in being able to beat on black folk, being able to arrest them. So that's in many ways their origins. It is a hodgepodge, loose assembly of individuals that are in every way enforcing the idea of the quote unquote rule of law, a rule of law that is going to transform in unbelievable ways with the settling of the British colonies, and that expands to the founding of this nation. They're patties. And in many ways they're operating from the exact same tradition that their forebears did. And black officers, their position has also been a very dubious one. If you go back and you read Huey P. Newton's Revolutionary Suicide, and he talks about his father, I believe his father was um, Melvin Newton, and he says that his father lost all respect for one of his best friends when they had moved out to the Bay, because he was he becomes a police officer, but he had no power or authority over any whites. He was only allowed to arrest black folk who were doing
Mm.
it. And Huey's father just lost all respect for him and all of that. And yeah, that's their origins. And they've always done what they do.
Mm, mm, mm. I want to welcome Willie Rivers to the program. I want to welcome What Was Said to the program. I want to welcome Narma X to the program. Peace and blessings, family. We are glad that you all are with us as we get into this extreme topic tonight. Police are black people killers. The reality is right in your face. Definitely. Doc, when we're
Go ahead.
okay, you wanted to go with the Samuel. You ready for that
Well,
now?
I'm going to find it real quickly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Let's just keep on going.
Okay. Perfect. So when I want to deal with what was said with their comment real quickly. It says 100% correct. Their sole purpose is to experiment on black people by doing whatever they feel and seeing if they can get away with it. I'm seeing now where police are, dealing with whatever they're dealing with out there. And now they're telling people, get back in your house, get in your house, get in your house. And it's like, what the fuck you gonna tell me to get in my house for? You don't tell me to get in my house. And it's like you said, they're trying to see whatever they can get away with and continue building upon that. And we'll see in different clips that we show where, they're beating you, kicking you, and, walk up to you and just start wailing on you. And yet their own so-called internal affairs that are supposed to police the police doesn't work. So what is it? Are we left with besides fighting back to the death? Because I don't see nothing else that's left. What do they expect when you beat us, you kill us, you get investigated, comes out they were doing their job? Even those who come out and say, okay, yeah, we're gonna charge them, take them to the court. Judge say they were doing their job. Freddie Gray is a good example. The DA said those police broke the law. They charged them. Then the single judge say, nope, they were doing their job. Case dismissed. And they get off. So to me, the only thing left is fighting back, tooth and nail, like the brother that was in Memphis when he took off running, because he understood these demons trying to kill me. They trying to take my life. So he took off. What is left for us to do, Doc? Doc, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
To be absolutely honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what's left for us to do, because they've shown you who they are, and now you have a choice to make, and that choice that you have to make is actually a choice of Do you believe your lying eyes and your experience, or do you not? And there is no other way of really dealing with this. Like I told you in our private chat that I have, it's from Unchained Memories, which is a HBO documentary that is dealing with the WPA slave narratives and this idea of the patty rollers, the patties, is best expressed by of all people, Brother Samuel L. Jackson. So we can take a moment and look at what it is that he actually said.
Okay.
Okay, I can get to this really quickly. Try to navigate my. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, get this queued up real quickly.
I never know.
I can move expeditiously here. All
Okay,
right.
now, all my life, I've heard of the paddle rollers. Yeah. Now you have the paddle rollers. I know patty rollers is the common term.
Yeah, I think you should say patty roll.
My
I never heard
grandparents
of
were from Georgia, and they both said
Patty rollers.
In fact, when they were really angry with white people, they referred to them as patties.
Mm-hmm.
Patty.
Action.
Marshall Butler, Slave Narratives, Volume.
Now that is, in many ways, what Samuel L. Jackson is talking about is that the idea that quite simply the history of them, they've been referred to as patty rollers, they've been referred to as patties, and they were usually once again poor whites who were marauding. They're the original terrorists of this nation, and they're marauding against black folk that they would find. Not really often an official police agency, but their whiteness was their badge. So I yield with that, brother.
Their whiteness was their badge, and
And
you know they, and it's like,
before you go forward, there's a great historian by the name of Ira Berlin who wrote this brilliant book titled "Slaves Without Masters," and it's principally about that population of black folk who are free and trapped in the South. And what Berlin says about that group is this. He says, listen, to be free and black in the South meant that you went from having one master to a South full of masters. And it becomes the duty, according to Berlin, it's the duty of white folk in general to ensure that you remained in line. And they were going to be judge and jury, and if need be, executioner of you. They were it's not a stretch to consider all whites to feel as if it was their white skin was akin to a badge that allowed them to arrest, harass, detain black folk. We had this thing in the 80s, and I'm not sure if they're still doing this now, but they referred to it as a citizen's arrest. And in many ways, that's what you're seeing when you see these Karens out here trying to instill and invoke their rule of law. That's exactly what you're seeing. White skin privilege transferring into a badge and being in many ways utilized by those individuals to enforce their understanding and their beneficial rules that are beneficial to them, that are in many ways made up in their head. And I yield, brother.
Mm. You know, and that's a very good point, Doc, that you bring up. And that shows to be very true. You know, this where you get these quote unquote Karens and Kens, you know, telling Black people you don't belong here, you this, you that, you that. Even to the point, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about where we showed a video where one of them, the white girl, lost her iPhone, and she
Mhm.
saw the Black boy with an iPhone that was his in the hotel, and automatically he had to steal that phone, and that
Mhm.
was hers. And it
Mhm.
wasn't even hers. Hers was in the Uber that she just got out of.
Yeah,
You
I think that his father was a jazz musician
know?
or
Hmm.
something notable like that. Yeah, I
Hmm.
remember that case as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it boils down to the the idea of, in their minds, blackness equals inferiority. It is the most reliable, in their minds, signs of social dysfunction and inferiority and what have you. And oftentimes, we'll go on a litany and we'll talk about one of the catalysts to that is actually the deplorable behavior of Black folk, that we refer to it even as deplorable behavior. But the truth of the matter is that regardless, um, as Big Daddy Kane said, from 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy, regardless of what your specific identity is, it's your black skin that in many ways makes you what Ralph Ellison referred to as the invisible man. That they never really see you. They never really see the individuality of yourself. What they actually are doing is they're placing on you, almost as if they're playing pin the tail on the donkey. They're pinning on you their negative beliefs and characterizations of Black folk, and those pins are going to stick to any Black body in their name. They don't care if you're a brother with a GED, no degree, or even a PhD. You're all suspect, and you're all unworthy of respect, even decency, even allowing you to go about your day. You don't even have
Right.
that right.
Exactly. You know, I want to go to Narma X comment. Um, Says, peace. We all must have a solution to everything the enemy does. The
Mhm.
solution will be different per person, but we must all have one. Moreover, the enemy knows who to do this to. Um, and I agree with that we have to have a solution. I think that the solution cannot be what was done yesterday because it don't work. You know, where you go and, you know, the picketing and marching,
Mhm.
all of that, they picketed and marched over George Floyd, where the quote unquote world came out and picketed and all that foolishness. And, you know, I think it was George Floyd's brother said that, you know, George's death changed the world. But it ain't changed the world. It ain't changed them crackers right there. They went right out and killed somebody else. It
Mhm.
ain't changed nothing. And
Mhm.
so, you know, my thought is that we have to come to the understanding that the only solution there is to fight them.
Mhm.
I don't see another solution out there to stop this. It is, we have to engage in
Mhm.
that same, when they put their hands on you, you put your hands on them and try your best to send them to the cemetery. I,
Well,
I don't I don't see a different solution, Doc. What say you?
I do see a different solution, and I think that what you're propagating is a part of my solution. I'm an advocate for fighting them in every arena, all the way down to how we conceive of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why many people take offense at this. When I'll stand up on a stage and I'll say, "America's my nation. That's my land." I don't concede anything to them. I will fight you even on that as to who are the rightful owners of this land. We have to fight them on every front. We have to fight them at the ballot box, because now let's recognize what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Fannie Willis is a Black woman,
Right.
okay, who has been put in that position,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and look at what she's done. A part of our fight has to be, and I know that historically we've always talked about it. Andre 3000 had the great line, and he says, "Why do you want us to vote? Because ain't nobody running but crackers." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to get out there and vote. We got to fight them on that level, because it will be our children who are being arrested, our loved ones who are being arrested, and we want the DA to be at our behest,
Mm-hmm.
to understand that if you don't do right by these Black folk, these young old Black folk who are coming in front of you, you won't be DA next time. We have the power to elect somebody else, and we will elect someone else. We need that consideration. We also need consideration at the economic and financial level.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go ahead and have some Black folk who are in strategic positions, who are Black-minded, who are willing to, in every way, utilize their influence and their resources to go ahead and aid other Black folk who are seeking to build something, to close this wealth gap. Marcus Garvey said it this way. He says that every land that he's went to, that there are certain things that are, commonalities. And one of them is that Black folk are the least educated. They're the least politically powerful. They own the least amount of land. They are the sickest and they die the soonest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Dominican Republic, that's Britain, that's South America, that's North America.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to put within our minds that we're going to fight them at every turn. I'm fighting them. I fought them on my first week of teaching when I highlighted to my students how ridiculous is it that you've engaged and read and digested so much of the Jewish history, that when I ask you about what is your favorite, most notable historical event, you say the Holocaust. And when I asked them which one, they looked at me and said, huh? Because your mind has been taken over. Your mind's been taken over from the point that, quite simply, they ain't got no trademark on the word Holocaust, but they convinced you that they do. And one of my students actually took issue with that and questioned me, and quite simply says to me, well, listen, why don't you think the Jewish Holocaust was bad? I said, I didn't say I don't think it was bad, but it amounts to no greater than 10 years of suffering, whereas ours has been going on and is still going on for 500 years. Which one you think is more disastrous and deserving of attention?
Exactly.
And that's not even to talk about that they've read Anne Frank and can't even tell you who Sundiata Acoli is, a graduate of the very institution that they are attending at this present moment. So I yield, brother.
Wow. Well, Doc, and since you brought up the DA down there in Atlanta, go ahead, and for those who may not know what you're talking about with that, go ahead and break that down.
Well, I mean, the sister has led the charge against the mob, the Trump mob, because she didn't hit them with a RICO case, that they were running a criminal enterprise seeking to steal the election, seeking to find votes that did not exist. And this sister went ahead and with those that she's in charge of, they've created a case that appears to be extremely strong. Okay. And one of the things that they attempted to do, and I understand the strategy, is to call for a speedy trial, as if this sister was not prepared. Her response to that request of a speedy trial was, bring it on. Let's do it. And of course, Trump, he's trying to get the co-defendants are divided. You got one that's talking about he wants a trial right now. And then you got others that say, no, like Trump, he don't want it until 2026. And now they're trying to sever that case apart, and it's up to the judge. I hope he doesn't allow them to sever it. And all 18, 19 of them have to stand trial together immediately.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
she has, in many ways, shook up the world. Because if he's convicted in Georgia, if he's convicted of these charges, any of them, there is no way. It's mandatory that he's going to prison. And that's the power and the impact and the influence that we're talking about when we say we must fight them at every turn. We got to make sure that sister is put in her position. We got to make sure other Black folk who look and think like, and especially think like us, are put in key positions to be able to speak for us. We can no longer afford to sit at home in any regard, political, economic, social, cultural.
Mhm.
We have to demand amongst ourselves that this will be a different moment in a different time.
Mhm. Exactly. We are definitely, because we got a program that I'm working on now that's going to deal with that exact issue. And we were going to deal with it before, but we had the family reunion. But that I'm still putting more, since new things have happened, into it. Then we'll deal with that on a Saturday. But I want to go to what was said. Comment. It says also non-white cops only exist to perpetuate the idea of equity as it relates to enforcing laws. It is their system. There is no equity in law enforcement. What's your thoughts about that, Doc?
Let me read this again. So Black cops only exist to perpetuate the idea of equity as it relates to enforcing the law. It is their system. There's no equity in law enforcement. Well, I take some issue with saying that Black cops only exist for that reason. And it's a part of that is because I know quite a few Black cops, and that is not why they went into law enforcement. Many of them went into law enforcement because they wanted to protect and serve Black America to the best of their ability. I know one brother who was a New York City detective, and his personal mantra was, as long as you don't offend someone that was his mother's age. He said, if you offend somebody or harm someone that was his mother's age, you going to prison. And that was his thing. And so I see that, and I understand the idea of having doubt about Black law enforcement officers and what have you. And we all know the Chuck D line from Public Enemy that every brother ain't a brother. We understand that all skin folk ain't kin folk. However, I will tell you, I would rather take my chances and my percentages with being in a compromising position with a Black cop than I would with a white cop. And I'll just say it that way. At least, hopefully, you have some chance. Hopefully. There's no guarantee, but hopefully you will. Okay. And as far as there being no equity in it, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with it. And it's one of the things that my father, would tell me. And one of his running mantras was always, look here, don't get so far out there that I can't get you back. And that was in many ways a warning to watch out. And I yield, brother.
Excellent. Thank you, Doc. And I want to look at what Cassie said. Sister Cassie said, she says that she is prepared because she's working for white supremacy. She's backed by the police union, Miss Fannie Mae Mammy.
Okay. Well, let me say this about that. She can be backed by the police union. I'm one of those that if it is useful and it is of any utility to our people, out of 100 acts, if one or two of them are positive for Black folk, I roll with the one or two. I don't excuse the others, but I'm also one of those individuals who has been put in situations on committees and different things like that. And I've had to, in many ways, make a Faustian deal, a deal with the devil, to be able to get something, a long-term goal accomplished. And so I kind of shy away, especially in public, issuing disparaging commentary towards other Black folk. I don't know her. I don't know her politics. She's only been on my radar for this one issue, so I can't issue anything significant about her character, about who she is, about her personal life. I don't know, and frankly, I don't care.
Okay. And Doc, I was thinking the same thing, because my thing, if the police union backs you, and you ain't no damn good. I don't give a damn what your color is. You ain't no damn good. You damn sure ain't on our side. If the police union backing you, you're just no damn good.
You know what? See, I don't know. I have to know more about it, because I would like to know who did they choose not to back.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if I have that bit of information, because they could have just chosen what they would term the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many unknowns within these types of situations and moments that, I just kind of I pump my brakes, because I don't have enough information to be able to say that.
Okay. And so what was said also said, let me clarify my statement. Non-white cops were allowed into the force to perpetuate the idea of equity in that system. That's not to make a judgment call against all Black cops, my bad. But
I agree wholeheartedly with what he's saying there.
Yeah.
That that you had to, one of the more interesting, when I was doing research for my dissertation in my book on the Panthers, one of the most amazing things that I came across was that the leaders of California, we often talk about California being a bellwether state politically, and being such an indicator of what's coming for the nation. But California was very liberal, very, very conservative during the 1960s. Now, they had Ronald Reagan as their governor.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, the leaders of California, especially in the Bay Area was being flooded with Black migrants from the South, from Texas, from Louisiana, because of Pearl Harbor. And you had, Black folk go where the work is. And there was a wonderful book titled Abiding Courage, about Black women who went and worked in the shipbuilding industry. But the leaders, the white forefathers, political leaders of the Bay Area, purposely recruited white officers from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas, because they felt like they could handle this arriving horde of Negroes. That if they could just get these cops from the Deep South on the force, they would. And when you look at the numbers of Black folk on the force of the Oakland Police Department, I believe they had something minuscule like 3 brothers on the entire force.
Mm.
And as I was talking about earlier, the Black officers were not allowed to even arrest white folk. So yeah, you had that issue there. It does provide, and what was said, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The presence of Black officers does offer an aura of legitimacy to the system.
Mm-hmm.
But those Black officers who are, just by their presence, are offering an aura of legitimacy, damn sure better not go in there and complain about nothing. Because there are a lot of ways that an officer can be killed. Other officers can kill one of their fellow quote unquote brothers in blue by simply not arriving to an emergency call expeditiously, allowing him to be done in by whatever element is committing a crime. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, what was said.
Definitely, I
And I
agree with
like
that.
the name what was said as well.
I agree as well. I remember there was a case in Alabama, and they were called the Alabama Five, I believe. And it was a few years back, and information that came my way. I was still in Nashville then, and I went down there on their court day to see what was going on. There was a group of them. They just left their meeting. It was the group Omawali from Florida. You know the guy who Bill Clinton was running, and he was president, and came down there and put the arm around him. And next thing you know, overnight he became this black leader, Omawali Obadeli or something like that.
Amari Obadeli?
Is he down in Florida? Was he down in Florida?
Nah, Omari Obadeli was in Louisiana.
Okay,
it certainly was not Obadeli.
Okay,
Obadeli was at and it's such a small world. I actually got Amari Obadeli's funding slot. My current job, that was his funding slot that I got. And I got a chance to meet him. He was the creator of the Republic of New Africa in Louisiana.
Right.
That's Obadeli. Amari Obadeli. Yeah. Amari Obadeli, they have all these legendary stories about him. One of them is that during every commencement, Amari Obadeli, when they took the Pledge of Allegiance, or what is it that they say at those ceremonies? It's not the pledge. What is it?
What, the libations that they pour?
No. These Negroes ain't taking no libations. Where they face the flag. What is it? Star Spangled Banner that they playing or whatever. Whatever it is. Amari Obadeli would get up by his single bad self, and they said he would usually have a couple of students who would follow him, and he would march out. Before the ceremony, as the ceremony was beginning, Obadeli would march out. That was his pro. They said he did it every single time. Yeah. So it definitely wasn't Amari Obadeli.
No,
they ultimately put that brother in prison because he had killed a cop when they tried to raid the Republic of New Africa.
Wow. Maybe we can get some footage of that while we're doing the program. But Uhuru, the brother who made up the Uhuru group down there in Florida, that's the one who Bill Clinton anointed, and he became a leader overnight.
Okay.
And so his group, they just left a meeting in Alabama, and they were at the gas station putting gas in the car. And so some other brothers was out there with their music playing it loud. Police come to tell them brothers to, calm it down. They go over to watch, to see, to make sure ain't nothing going on, crazy. Police see them watching, is like, get back to your car, get back to your car. They not moving fast enough to get back to the car. Next thing you know, police start getting them. And so the rumble and tussle happened between them and the police. They got one of the people's 90-year-old mama out there, beating her up. And so he's on the stand testifying, and we're listening. And he said he looked and saw a black police officer running to the scene. And he said, I felt so with joy because I thought he was coming to save me. And when he got there to me, he started whooping my ass too. And the whole courtroom bust out laughing. I mean, even the judge was laughing. And, I'm standing, I'm looking like, wow,
Yeah.
Everybody laughing, and the judge with his gavel, order. Okay, let's get back to business.
Yeah.
But the idea, as you getting whooped by white cops, you see a black cop running, you think they coming to save you, and they get there and they're gonna wail on you some more. So this equity thing, this inclusion, I believe that when you become into their system and you become a cop, you put on that blue uniform, you're thinking, you lose your blackness and you become one of them, and you act like one of them. And in different scenarios, right here in, there across the bridge in New York, you had police commanders who were black, and then the lower everyday foot soldier cop in uniform, the commander not in uniform, and get jacked up and get beat up by the little white cop.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, do you know who I am? Do you know? Yeah, it's too late now. You done got your ass whooped, because your real badge is your blackness.
Yeah, there was a case of, they were doing a undercover drug buy, and it was horrible. And when I was in Columbus, Ohio, I used to work out at World Gym, and there were some cops who worked out there, and there was a brother, and he was trying to recruit me. He said, "Yeah, man, just think you get to ride one of these cool motorcycles like this." I'm like, "Man, look at nah, okay." But on this one particular case, they're doing this drug buy, and they have the young officer, and if you're young and you're black, you're more than likely going to be the undercover agent, the undercover cop that goes up in there and makes the drug buy, which I think is a very risky proposition, to be honest with you. But this brother had done it, and they were all in the car, and so they're listening to it on the mic. Mm-hmm. And the drug transaction has gone down. The police are zooming in with their cars. They jump out with their guns, and they're approaching this car. They're trying to get, and they shot the undercover cop. And the white guy who shot him knew him. He literally, it wasn't, be careful that we got a undercover officer who's in the car. He knew the brother. And he goes into, after he shot him, he's like, "Oh my God, such and such, whatever his name was. Let's say it was Ronnie. Ronnie, I thought you were one of the bad guys. Ronnie, I'm so sorry. But he didn't shot him. And there's something, I believe that, I know that there's something to be said for what you were just talking about brothers becoming officers, and they're no longer black, they become blue. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is certainly a culture, and someone put into the chat that Narmer X put into the chat that they break our brothers and sisters. In many ways, it's every boot camp or what have you is designed to break you down and then to build you back up into what it is that they want you to be. So that's not shocking. But what I would do, I certainly wouldn't limit what it is that you said to the police academy or to the police force, because we see this lasciviousness, this desire, this almost foaming at the mouth of our people to get close to white folk who they think have some power and is going to be able to elevate them in one way or another above other black folk. It happens in the business world. Lord knows it happens in academia. Okay. It's common. And when you're talking about it, I think that this is one of the mistakes that we make. We talk about blackness as if we've been socialized to understand that we're black and that we're all we got. If you look at the results, there's really nothing that you can point to that says that there's a socialization process within Black America that can begin to even rival the socialization process of anti-blackness that our people are under. And I yield, brother.
Yeah, that is very strong. And I think that America wouldn't be America without that strong anti-blackness that must be force-fed into Black people.
I mean, you gotta. I mean, really think about it. You know, we're the rallying point for white folk
Exactly.
because white folk they're not coming from. There is no white land. Okay, there's no point, and many people will say, well, the Caucasus Mountains. Well, that's where Caucasians come from. Okay, there is no white land. What you're looking at is a group, a mongrelized group of Europeans who have come together for politically expedient and economically beneficial reasons. That's what you're looking at. And included in that, you got some silly Negroes who believe that only if I could act better, I would be down. You're never going to be down. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe that is one of the most maddening factors in Black folk going insane. That regardless of what they do, they'll never be able to get over that last hurdle and be white. Exactly.
We got a program coming up that we're going to be doing on mental health, racism, and how it affects the mental health of Black people. And we're going to be dealing into that. I'm still getting the research together for it, but that's going to be a real big program that we do. I know that anything that's done as far as Black people, Doc, we have to have a certain orientation of mind before we get into anything. And I know, like for me, every day that I wake up and I walk outside those doors, there's no expectation that I'm going to walk back in those doors. That expectation doesn't exist. But the expectation is, if the police or any cracker, or anybody that comes that way, bringing that kind of energy to me, I'm going to match that energy, and we're going to have it right there, right then and there, without no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I don't know if you remember, but when we were on Blog Talk Radio live one day, and I was like, oh, I'm hearing these helicopters above my house, and it was me, you, and Sister Pam on. And I was like, I looked out the window and I saw all the police. And then I looked the other way and I saw my son and nephew. And I told y'all, I said, hold on, I need to go outside. Police got my son and nephew out there.
Yeah, I remember that show.
You remember? I go outside and I look to the right and I see all these police. I look to the left, all these police, and I see my son and my nephew. As I'm walking out, I'm already assessing which cracker I'm gonna grab first, which cracker I'm gonna grab next, the whole thing. And so when my son and nephew see me coming, and they like, it's okay, everything's fine. I could see literally the fear in the police officers. I could see it. And as I'm walking up there, and then they telling me everything's okay, go back in the house. It's okay, let's go back in the house. And I'm like, y'all sure? And they was like, yeah, it's okay. We on our way in there. And I'm like, y'all got 2 minutes, get your ass in this house. So I go back in the house and, we start talking again. Then they come in and they're laughing and and they were like, oh, Dad, you had the police scared. The police was thanking us for diffusing the situation and all this, that, and other. And they were like, it was just the way you came out walking that they went from being all cocky, yeah, we go to, oh shit, what's about to happen? And they was like, to see them go from one thing to another in a matter of split seconds, just by looking at you come out the house. And I didn't have no weapons or no nothing, but my mindset was, you're not about to kill mine.
Yeah.
That shit not about to happen, not today,
Yeah.
When we are dealing with this situation, talk to us about the importance of our orientation of mind.
Yeah.
When we're dealing with situations like this.
Yeah, as a man thinketh, so is he. And if you're coming into this situation already front loaded with fear and the idea that a institution and individuals who went to a school within that institution have the authority and the right to end the life of your child, you've lost the game way back. There are simply some things that if you are, we've been taught to be lawful and to obey the law as long as it's righteous. But if it's not righteous, no, ain't gonna be no standing down, ain't gonna be no conversing about anything. Okay, I mean, literally, you're talking about ending the life of my child, ending my legacy. If something happens to my child and I can't get you right away, I'm going to kill everybody that is associated with you. Even the motherfucker that handed you that coffee at Starbucks, they gonna have to go too. And I'm not bullshitting about that. I can't even conceive that. How someone could have their child killed. And they can sit down with these people and shake their hands and offer an element of forgiveness. If that ever happens to James Thomas Jones IV, y'all watch TV, because y'all are going to see me. If you hear me talking about, I want us all to meet together and we gonna, sit down and talk about, watch it. And as I walk on the stage, when you say, well, damn, Doc, then put on some weight. Because as soon as I sit down and we all go in for that kumbaya moment, boom, we all going. And I'm not playing about that.
Yeah.
And until you really truly value and love your own that way, you can't understand a man like me. And it's just what it is. There is no other reason for me to remain in this realm if my son is not here. There's no other reason. And so the idea of being able to stand down, the idea of being able to negotiate people that you have hundreds of years of evidence of what they're truly about and what their institution is about, I don't know what I can tell you.
Exactly. Doc, we'll have people, and I'm quite sure, when we get those strangers that come to visit the channels and, look at the title and listen to what we're saying and would say to us that we've lost our humanity to even think that way, that, they'll look at the situation that goes over on in Israel and say, what the Palestinians.
All I'll say to those people is, you wouldn't say that to a Jew. You wouldn't say that to a white man. Did these white men lose their humanity when they dropped 2 atomic bombs? That's considered to be a righteous retribution. I've studied their history very closely. I understand their logic. And I'm just like them, revenge-minded.
Definitely. Doc, the weight of injustice that weighs on a person's mind every day, day in and day out, weighs on Black people's mind. We have those parents, Tamir Rice, her son, Tamir Rice's mother, her son being killed in the manner that he was killed. And everybody so-called, those activists, Tamika Mallory and all of them that said all that, and then her mom and then Tamir Rice's mother had to come out and repudiate them because it was about that BS. Look at her and say that she's not in her right mind simply because of the injustice. So when she speaks out, it's just a hurt. She don't really mean what she's saying. But yet, I listened to what she's saying, and she made very good sense, and she was right on point. But there is something to do with injustice and how it affects the minds of our people. Talk about that. What, because I don't believe that there's a real healing to that.
No, the thing is, and I guess I'll try and approach this backwards, that when a unrighteous death, an unjustified death occurs, there is no justice that can be achieved. The only justice the only true justice is if your loved one can get out that grave and the person that did the evil against them replaces them in that grave. If that's not occurring, we're not even talking about justice. Mm-hmm. We're talking about some form of compensation. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's be honest that we can talk about all of the history. We can talk about the political side. We can talk about all of it. And we've been talking about this. Black folk have been talking about this for now, over 400 years. Mm-hmm. There is a element of stress and strain that whittles away at your sanity. And I'm not going to just attribute that to being Black. I'll attribute that to being poor and working class as well. That over time, you are not the same. It's the equivalent of being with, I got a homeboy who was cheated upon, okay, by the women he dealt with. Mm-hmm. Look here. The woman he dealing with now, she might as well go get her an ankle monitor, because that brother need to know where she at every second of the day, or he's going. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about that, Black folk who have been, if and I believe this, that at the cellular level, our DNA, it has memory. Our cells have memory. So you entered into this bad boy with stress, with injustice already upon you. So at your basic, not reset. It's impossible for you to have been able to reset. And the inability to reset means quite simply that you've never been normal. So you're out here drifting around, trying to find some way to it's not even getting normal. You're trying to find a way to get some type of joy, something that can give you a reprieve from the pain that you've always been situated within. Mm-hmm. It's the reason why you see Black folk talking to other Black folk the way they do. This is why you see Black folk ignoring other Black folk the way that they do. It's the reason why, if there is something that is deplorable and disgusting about Black folk, it goes viral. Mm-hmm. And that viral element is often propelled by Black folk. We've gone insane. Pearl Cleage, Albert Cleage, Shrine of the Black Madonna, his daughter. Mm-hmm. Pearl Cleage wrote this great book titled What Looks Like Crazy on a Normal Day. We see that on a regular basis with Black America. Look at what the sister who, if she had anybody in her camp who loved her, they would come and put their arm around her and tell her, look, child, stop. Stop. Keke Palmer. Mm-hmm. The latest person that she has assailed in public is Claire Huxtable. The very epitome of Black femininity for a generation. She called her bougie or something.
Mm.
So in many ways, the disgusting elements of us, I mean, when you look at a figure like Sukihana,
Mm-hmm.
you look at what just happened down here in Houston, the quote unquote Mocha Fest. The sisters are just rolling up for $5, giving brothers head.
What?
Other sisters eating out other sisters right here in public. Okay, poolside, this is occurring.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
brothers running trains on sisters. 9, 10 of them up in a back to back to back to back to back.
Mm.
This is what we've devolved into.
Mm.
You're correct, Deacon. We've lost the value
Mm.
with each other, and all of this is viral.
Mm.
All of this is public, and it leads you back to the idea of, quite simply, we have to. There's no one who can regulate Black women but other Black women, and there's no one who can really regulate Black men other than other Black men. We need to regulate our own.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are out here dying, because we are insane. The vast majority of us no longer have a moral compass. We don't have a barometer of decency. That thing that God put inside of you that said, you know, that ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently been muted for far too many of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I yield, brother.
I definitely agree with that, Doc. You know, I believe also that when it comes to the police and the injustice system, I believe we have been subverted. They use these TV shows, you know, SUV and all of these cop TV shows out here, Blue Bloods and all of these things. And they show you these police and they're supposed to, you know, be all friendly and, you know, yeah, they may make a mistake here or there. They're human, but you find yourself rooting for them. You know, you got Ice-T, who was talking about cop killing. Now he a cop on the goddamn
Hey, I have to root for Ice-T. Okay. Whenever they let Ice-T have a running scene, he trying to chase somebody down. You know, Ice Rhymer can't chase nobody down. I sit there, I put that back on rewind. Like, man, look at him exploiting my brother. You know he can't run.
You know, but they make you see them not as they really are. Mm-hmm. And so when we're out here in the world, you know, when you come in an encounter with them, you're expecting what you've been indoctrinated to by the TV. You're expecting officer friendly, but you ain't meeting officer friendly. You meeting that full-blooded beast. And now your mind is so warped, you don't even know how to deal with them. You don't even know what's really the deal, because your mind, oh, hey, Mr. Officer, shut the hell up. Mm-hmm. You know, you're dealing with a total different demon. Mm-hmm. And so this process of subversion, they did a study on it, and, you know, asked, you know, I think it was like 3,000, 5,000 American citizens, their take on policing and the justice system, you know, by what they see on TV from these shows. And they're like, oh, it's perfect. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, police may make a mistake here and there, but overall, it's perfect. You know, you ain't gonna get a better legal system than this. You ain't gonna get no better cops than this. And so it's showing that at one time, there was a little more doubt that the police were doing their job the right way. Because of the constant programming, now there's no doubt. There's like, yeah, the police are doing their job and everything works the way it works. You know, if you so happen to get beat up, you must have done something you ain't had no business.
Yeah.
And so this false narrative now, as the Pew Research said, this false narrative is becoming the true narrative.
Yeah.
Because of these TV programs.
People believe what they see. Yeah, I mean, and if what you're saying is true and valid, and I believe that it is, the opposite is correct as well. When you're talking about the proliferation in the distribution of reality TV. So when we look at a Love and Hip Hop, when we look at a Real Housewives of Atlanta, that
Mhm.
becomes the very brand of who Black people actually are. And it's not only who Black people actually are to Black people who have never really engaged Black folk. It's who Black people actually are to Black folk. Look at Kiki Palmer.
Mhm.
This idiot believes that there's something wrong with Claire Huxtable, but there's nothing wrong with you bumping and grinding in public, looking like a slower, a slut and a whore combined together out in public in Las Vegas.
Mhm. Exactly.
And the truth of the matter is because of the echo chamber that so many of us exist within, that old saying that our ancestors are, that and each one of us has heard this: birds of a feather flock together.
Mhm.
They weren't using the words of an echo chamber, but that's what they were talking about.
Mhm.
So you put ten slowers in a room. Oh, they gonna justify what it is that they do. And
Mhm.
anybody that contradicts them is weak, is a lame, is X, Y, and Z.
Mhm. Definitely. And I want to welcome Sister Cassie, Realm in the Bush, to the program. Peace and blessings. We got Maya on the program. Peace and blessings. Also want to welcome the Jughead number one. Peace and blessings from the UK. We're glad that y'all are here with us today. And I'm going to share screen. And this is a real short video clip. But Doc, I want you to look at it and see what all you see
Okay?
in this short clip, because it's really to me, I found it to be really deep. Okay, so let's go and watch.
After getting pulled over for a minor traffic violation, this woman had no idea what surprise awaited her.
Are you aware of why I pulled you over today? Are you familiar with vehicle code 1739? Well, it's actually against the law to drive on a hot day without an ice cream cone. So,
In an unexpected and heartwarming twist, police officers in Halifax, Virginia took a unique approach to traffic enforcement by surprising drivers with ice cream cones instead of traffic tickets.
well, you guys have a great day.
Have a good day. Have a good day, brother.
Okay, now I want to go back.
And who did an
go back.
investigation.
After getting pulled over for a minor traffic violation, this woman.
Okay, as we're looking and try to read their body language, look at the brother and sister in the car, their body language of what they're really feeling as this continues to go on.
Woman had no idea what surprise awaited her.
Are you aware of why I pulled you over today? Are you familiar with vehicle?
You see, she answered, "Are you familiar? Are you know why I pulled you over today?" No, no, sir. You know, she said no, then she corrected herself and said, "No, sir."
Mm-hmm.
Code 1739. Well, it's actually against the law to drive on a hot day without an ice cream cone. So,
And you can see both of them were relieved when they talking about driving on a hot day to ice cream. You could just see the stress just drops.
In an unexpected and heartwarming twist, police officers in Halifax, Virginia took a unique approach to traffic enforcement by surprising drivers with ice cream cones instead of traffic tickets.
well, you guys have a great day.
Have a good day. Have a good day, brother.
And who did
Oops.
And I was quite alarmed.
Okay. So, Doc, what's your feeling about that? What you saw? Did you see feel like though when the ice cream came out, you know, the nervousness, the tenseness that they had just dropped? What did you see?
Almost certainly. I mean, there isn't any Black person in America who, including Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they did a show about the police pulling him and Will over. There isn't a Black person alive who, when the police get behind them, their stomach doesn't tense up and tighten up, even knowing that you haven't done anything wrong, because you understand wholeheartedly that that person has the ability to make you in many ways disappear. They have the ability to pull you over, and with the proliferation and the commonality of single parent households, to ask you that question: do you have anybody that can come pick up these children? No. Well, we're going to call CPS. And we all know once your children get involved in that system, how do you get them out of that system? So it was a ultimate relief for them, that the fact that, and this is one of the things that, probably one of the most important lessons that all Black people need to understand, and really understand this. All of us got a time. All of us got a turn. It will be your turn at some point.
Say that. That's right.
Where some officer is going to pull you over simply because he had a bad fucking day.
That's right.
He might have argued with his wife that morning. His dog might have peed or boo-booed in the house, and he's just ornery. He got time today, and it's your turn. That's the reality of being Black in America. Be very clear about that.
That's right.
That ain't nothing special about you. Ain't nothing special about me. I got 5 degrees. And when they pull behind me, I get nervous. I get concerned. Because they have the power. Somebody with much less degree, fewer social graces, can't even tell you who Clifford Brown is. Ain't never heard John Coltrane's in a sentimental mood. Okay? Don't know who Lee Morgan is. Hell, don't know who Rakim is. Could pull me out of my car and ruin my life.
That's
right.
And
what compounds it even more, what if he decided to impound that sister's car?
That's right.
The vast majority of Americans are living check to check. You can't afford for your car to be impounded. You can't afford to get a flat tire.
That's right.
So all of that is there, and they possess that power. And we do what we always do. We appeal to their goodness. Even though you haven't seen a single element of goodness in them, you'll appeal to that goodness, to that sense of decency, and hope that he didn't get in a fight with his wife this morning. Maybe she gave him some this morning, and he having a good day, and he's looking on the sunny side of things, and it ain't your time. It ain't your turn. Thank God it wasn't your turn today. And when you go home, say your prayers, and before you leave, say, Lord, don't let this be my day again. Because that's really what you saw there. The brother that was sitting there, he couldn't do nothing. He's helpless. He was defeated before that stopped, because you can see the reverence that he has for law enforcement. They come to your door, knock on the door, say, we got a warrant. We need to put these cuffs on you. You don't even know that's the police. Just some white men who are sitting in some uniforms and then went and rented a car and have abducted you. Deacon of reality, I could never forget Miles Davis. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Kind of Blue is one of my favorites. Okay, so I'm with you there. Okay.
You know, Doc, my oldest son, Mom, when she and I were married, we were teenagers. I was 19, she was 18. We were both in the military. And we were going to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Well, Dayton.
Mm-hmm. And she was driving, and she was just speeding. I mean, she was rolling on out. And so she was pregnant too. And police pulled us over. So he's like, you know, you speeding? She's like, yeah, I know I'm speeding. Just give me my ticket and come on, you know. So he goes back to the car and he's writing up the ticket, you know, doing whatever, however they do it. She tell me, don't tell him that I said, hurry up. I said, now I wasn't smart. I didn't have the wisdom that I have now. I say, you want me to do what? Go tell the police I said, hurry up. And I'm thinking like, I can't say, are you crazy? Even though this is what's going through my mind. Are you crazy? I can't tell the police to hurry up, you know, but I'm like, if I don't do it, then she gonna lose all the respect for me and I can't be the man of my house. So I'm in this position, Doc, where I'm like, God damn, do I actually go tell this cop? Because he can do something to me if I listen to him.
She wasn't a beneficiary on your life insurance, was she?
So I'm in that predicament of what the hell do I do? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go tell it. So I get out the car and I'm walking down there and I'm talking to myself. You know, I'm like, you got to get it together because you got to tell this man he got to hurry up. You know, and the other side is like, boy, you better not become hard with him because he may shoot you or throw your ass in jail. You know, so I get down there to the police car. I knock on the window. He roll the window down and I say, can you hurry up with this ticket? My wife is getting on my nerves. And he looked at me and he's like, I can understand that. I'll be right there. You know? So I walked back to the car and I said, yeah, I told him. You said he'd be right there. Like that, you know. So she smiled. And on the inside, I'm like, whoo. But, you know, the damn predicaments we could be in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember getting pulled over. I went back home. I was living in Columbus at the time, and I'm with, you know, a female, and I had gotten a ticket that I never paid some months before. And so the officer, he ends up pulling us over after I told her. I said, look, we going up this hill. It was Ashland Road. Do not cross. It goes from 1 lane to 2. Do not cross the center lane. You go up, veer to the right. Stay inside the lane because they're going to be watching. What does she do? Crosses the center lane. So we get to the top of Ashland Road. He pulls us over. And he asked her for her ID and all of this, and she had gotten a ticket. They had suspended her license. And I'm thinking, I said, oh, she got her ticket about 2 weeks ago. And they didn't, you know, they suspended her license. She ain't supposed to be driving. She got a court date she's going to have to go to. And so I'm like, woo, glad I wasn't driving. And the trooper bent down and looked at me and he said, can you drive this vehicle home? And I wasn't thinking. I said, yeah, I can drive. The look on his face was like, you can drive. Sir, give me your social. So he runs he writes my social in the palm of his hand. Like he's like he's making the mark of the beast. And I'm sitting here knowing that I got this ticket. And I said to myself, I said, now, when he comes back up, if he's walking, and this is the Thursday, this is the weekend before Thanksgiving. And I'm like, if I go to jail on Friday, I can't see a judge until Monday. So I'm gonna be in jail for, for 4 days at least.
Mm.
I said, so now if he walk up on the passenger side of this car, I'm gonna open up this damn car door. I'm jumping out and I'm running. I don't know where I'm running. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm running. He's walking up, and I don't want to turn back and look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to remain calm. And he walks to the driver's side. He says, "Ma'am, you're gonna have to get out, and he's gonna have to drive." I was so shocked.
Mm.
I looked at that trooper. I said, "Man, I still got a license." And he said, "Sir, you still have a license, okay?" He said, "Don't say nothing else, man." And I just got out, jumped in the car, and drove on. Yeah, they can. That's what I saw. With the ice cream thing, and when you really break it down, that is one of the needlessly most dangerous things that happen to people in general, Black folk in particular,
Mm-hmm.
when they come across these troopers that are, I refer to them as stormtroopers, and I have to look at every one of them as stormtroopers, almost as if they're thrill seekers who have found a way to get a job in a police force to patrol people that they don't know and they know nothing about. And it's the reason why I believe that if you are a law enforcement officer, you should be forced to live within not just the county or the city, within the region that you're going to be patrolling. Because it's much more difficult to harm people that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can talk because they become human. It's one of the reasons why if you're ever kidnapped, they tell you to start talking about your family, start talking about, your life and who you are. So this person who is taking you hostage can begin to see the humanity in you. Unfortunately for us, many of them have no concern, and they're just rough riding all through our community, doing whatever it is that they want to do. And we don't have the ability, the power to do anything to prevent it outside of risking our lives. And if you're going to step across that threshold, you better be willing to go to a level of violence that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not, sit there and be humble and understand that if you go to a level of violence that they're not capable of, that means lethal violence. And that means that even if you do survive, you'll be incarcerated most likely for the rest of your life. That's what it means to be Black in America.
Definitely. And this next video of a sister and her encounter with the police. And, for our sisters, you got to understand, you got to fight. I mean, there ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It is what it is. Let's take a look at it and come back and break it down.
Indisputable exclusive. Hell of a story. A Black woman attacked by Fort Lauderdale cops. She tells the truth about what happened to her. Police officer says, no, he was attacked. Got the video, we have updates, we have the exclusive. Here it is.
4 Zulu Lima.
Oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing.
How you doing? You got an ID on you, ma'am?
Why am I giving my ID?
Because I asked for it.
Because you asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I no longer feel comfortable because I don't even have a problem
Okay,
here.
well, I'm asking you for ID. If you don't produce it, I'm going to take you to jail. Okay, so let me see your ID.
Do you hear this, Mom? Do you hear this, Mom? I'm waiting on my friend, and now I'm about to get arrested because I'm
not going to ask you again.
ID.
I'm not going to ask you again.
Do you hear this, Mom? He's not giving me a problem. Or what did I do wrong? What did I do? These people can kill me, Mom.
I'm going to show you the rest of the video and the injuries that she sustained. I want to remind you that this was not even a traffic stop in the traditional sense. Miss Cooper was waiting for her friend to join her so they could celebrate her birthday at the beach. She was just waiting there, all right? That's it. When Deputy Stephen decided to pull up, Deputy Stephen Davis decided to pull up and said, give me your identification. After she hesitated, which is understandable, he forcefully pulled her out of the car. After the altercation, she was charged with resisting arrest and battery on an officer. Nothing about traffic, nothing about a citation for pullover. Here's the next video.
Ma'am, I'm gonna ask you one more time, and then I'm gonna pull you out of the car, okay?
You're not pulling me out of nothing. Sorry, please. Why are you being aggressive? Well, you're not gonna fight me. You're not gonna fight me. What are you doing? Stop. Stop. Bro, you're not gonna punch me. You're not gonna punch me. You're not gonna punch me. You're not gonna punch me, bro. What's wrong with you? You just hit a woman and you asked for her ID. What's wrong?
I'm going to do this. Put up the pictures that she provided to Indisputable directly, what this officer did to her. I want you to see this. She did nothing illegal. See, this is where the officer wanted it to go. This is what he wanted to do, because he, in fact, is a coward, a feckless human being. In court, Davis claimed that she was non-compliant and that she decided to attack him. News covered the initial court hearing. Ms. Cooper testified in court that she received several blows to her head and injuries to her face, arms, and legs during the altercation. And Davis testified he was bleeding profusely from his head as a result of being attacked by Ms. Cooper. Ultimately, Ms. Cooper was arrested and charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. This is not the first excessive force incident Deputy Davis has been involved in. In 2017, Mr. Davis was taken to court after forcefully arresting a man and then tasing his wife. After being ticketed for illegal parking in front of a public supermarket, Mr. Barkley cursed at Deputy Davis. He said profanity. Profanity is legal. He got in his car, turned on his emergency lights, and ordered Mr. Barkley to pull over. Mr. Barkley exited the vehicle upon Deputy Davis's demand. Deputy Davis then required Mr. Barkley lie on the ground, whereupon he placed his knee on Mr. Barkley's back, placed him under arrest for reckless driving and resisting arrest without violence was the charge. Mrs. Barkley exited their vehicle, approached Mr. Barkley out of concern, and the deputy, Mr. Barkley, directed his wife, being a concerned husband, go back to the car, return to the car. I'll be okay. Deputy Davis then decided to pull Mrs. Barkley out of the vehicle. She returned to the car as instructed. He goes to the car, does the same move to Mrs. Barkley that you just saw him do to the young lady. Same move. He then decided to utilize his taser on Mrs. Barkley. His report to 5 eyewitness testimony times, it was 2 to 5 times he used it. According to his report, Mrs. Barkley was charged for battery on an officer and obstruction with violence. Are you seeing the pattern? Are you seeing the pattern? He assaults individuals, criminally charges them with assaulting him. He assaults individuals, says, oh no, it's the other way around. They attacked me. I'm the one that was the victim here. I had to charge them with fighting me. There's more. 2020. He was arrested. He arrested, another woman, Lauren Holiday, for resisting arrest with violence, who has since come forward to speak out about her experience. Holiday resolved her case by pleading no contest to resisting without violence. In her letter to the judge in Ms. Cooper's case, Ms. Holiday said her own arrest was retaliation. Coming less than a week after she filed a complaint about Davis harassing her over walking her service dogs along the beach, Davis didn't even tell me why he was arresting me, she said. He just pulled me out of the car and kneed me to the ground. His gun flew out of his holder. It has been the most terrifying event of my life. This man has an MO. You know who knows about the MO other than him and the citizens he has brutalized in this local jurisdiction? The leaders that allow him to. I'm going to get to leadership in just a moment. There's more. Ms. Cooper gave us a statement about her experience. She said, and I quote, "The officer of BSO ruined my life, my finances, my physical abilities. Prior to this event, I had a clean record, free to get whatever opportunities suits me. Now I have to work part-time just so I don't miss court dates or a drug and alcohol test that gets called once a month randomly. All in all, it has been a year and 3 months of my judge being switched. My court dates pushed back constantly. Officer Stephen Davis of BSO lying under oath, more than 3 different stories, both on the scene, off the scene, and in court. My left leg and spine have its days where I'm in a terrible amount of pain. To this day, Stephen Davis was completely negligent and uncivil by his approach towards me. I felt safe in my locked car. I was trying to give my ID, however, my birthday nails at the time, as well as the gift card stacked behind my ID, was making it very difficult for me to grab out of my wallet. Him not answering my question really deterred me. It slowed it down from getting my ID, and I got scared and confused as why he couldn't just answer my question. So I started talking to my mom to calm myself down and explain the situation to my mother. We reached out to the sheriff's department for comment to see if Deputy Davis has received any level of repercussion and received this response. Here it is. The incident is currently being heard in court, end quote. Put up the sheriff. You should be a damn ashamed of yourself. Sheriff Gregory Tony of the Broward County Sheriff's Office has been elected as the sheriff since 2019. I hope and pray the citizens of your jurisdiction boot you the hell out. He allows Davis to continue this behavior unchecked, unfettered, without penalty, without the enforcement of rule or law. Let me say this to you, Sheriff. Maybe you got into this profession because you actually cared about people. You know, that cop you protected, he did not elect you. The people he's brutalizing did. Now, I'm going to stay on top of this, and I have the date of your reelection, sir. I will remind people of you. during that time. It is in your best interest for your political career to do the right thing by the people who put you in that position. To allow this man who has a stated MO that we could find his MO. I'm sure you know way more than we do. And to do nothing, not even investigate. And to the DA who is prosecuting these cases, allowing individuals to not be truthful under oath without penalty. Well, we got something for you as well. That story's coming too. All right. Jessica, thoughts?
This is a clear case.
All right. So, Doc, there you have it with our sister there. And give me your ID. Give you my ID for what?
For what?
I'm sitting here in my car chilling. I ain't broke no law, but give me my ID. And you're going to pull her out of the car and you're going to beat her up. You know, she said to her mom, "They can kill me, Mom." Now, this cracker got a history, a pattern of abuse. I was watching the Forecast program with him and Sister Cassie, and I forget the dude's name, but this white police officer was beating up a black man, and his pattern of abuse of beating up black people went back way, way, way back. They know what they do. Here you have a black sheriff that's over the cracker. The black sheriff didn't get there on his own. He got replaced. He replaced the white sheriff that was there. The governor sent the black guy there because the white sheriff wasn't correcting the problems there. Mm-hmm. And when I heard him talk back then when he got put on, I said that then. Hell, they just replaced him with a black one who think just like the white one. Mm-hmm. So as far as doing a change for us, it didn't make no difference from us. It's the same dude doing the same shit. There comes a time, and I believe we are at that time, where we have to fight them tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Our sisters, you got to fight back. You're going to take an ass whooping one way or another. Mm-hmm. One way or another, you're going to take an ass whooping. You don't need to travel by yourself, but I understand situations you may need to at times. But we're at the point where we got to fight back. What say you, Doc? What's your thoughts of that interaction?
You know, it reminds me of Training Day when Denzel announced to the world, "King Kong ain't got shit on me."
Right.
We got a bunch of King Kongs working in our community. They're not interested in serving, and damn sure not interested in protecting. And the fact that you have a black sheriff, you have a black man in charge of this, it's just yet another sign of black folk really not understanding even the basic building blocks of power, of unity, of being able to get something complete. We don't have it. It's as if our money, it's as if our minds are not synced up together. As if we've had so much bullshit put in our minds that we can't figure it out. You know, you have one group of black folk who are participating in Mocha Fest. They having public sex. You got another group of black folk who hate that group of black folk and denounce their actions for good reason. And they didn't got so far along the line that they hate all black folk. So they'll turn their head when they see their very people being abused. We're sick people. You know, you can talk about high blood pressure, high cholesterol. You can talk about diabetes, whatever you want to talk about. But there is no greater disease impacting black folk than mental illness. And we see it repeatedly, that our minds are not logical, our minds are not operating in a way that is conducive even to our own personal benefit. And that's a shame. And it's something that I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what you can say to people who have become desensitized to their own suffering unless it hits their doorstep.
Exactly. I want to welcome Sister Eleanor to the group. Peace and blessings, Sister Eleanor. Welcome. She says that in the UK, the police recently attacked a 90-year-old Black woman, and of course, they were white police. She says they are sick people, and violence is innate to them. It's not learned; it's innate. And that's a good point too, because you hear Black people saying, "I don't understand why they do it." Speaking about police and how they treat us, I don't understand it. Maybe they just don't know no better. Oh no, they know better. It's like she said, it's innate. It's part of their nature. It ain't something that you can write a law and turn it off with. It ain't gonna turn. There ain't no turn off switch like that. There isn't any. And us Black people having this mentality of give them another shot. Let's turn the other cheek. Let's we just chill. Work the system, let it work, and it'll all come out in the end. It'll be okay in the end. No, it won't. It's this mentality is deadly for a Black person to have that in their mind. That it's gonna be okay. Just let the system work, and they don't know no better. They can't help themselves. They can help themselves. It's an enjoyment that they get. And I don't even know. I mean, I heard Sister Cassie say with the Black farmer in Colorado who during COVID, was helping feeding white folks and inviting them to their land and all that. Then yet when it's over, they're the ones turning around trying to get him off the land. Get him and his wife all locked up and doing all of this racist stuff to him when just yesterday he was feeding them. And it's like, what more does it take for you to understand who they are? It's not by accident that they hate you. It's not by accident that they don't want you on land that you own. It's not by accident. It's on purpose. And it's like to the point, I agree with Sister Cassie, you should have known better. But because you have this, let's let them be my brother and let's get along and say all this yah, you bring this shit on yourself. I can't feel sorry for you because you should have known who you was dealing with. I don't understand this, Doc. And this is not with the young that don't understand. This is the old who act like they don't know. The fuck where you been? Honestly.
The thing is that God bless their souls because they are in many ways people who have never existed in a healthy relationship with their fellow countrymen. Black folk have been the equivalent of in a volatile domestic violence situation their entire existence here. And there's something about eternal abuse. It leads the victim to not be able to break that hold that their victimizer has upon them until they give them the approval to do it, to end the abuse, X, Y, and Z. These rascals we dealing with ain't gonna never give you that approval. They're never going to, not in mass, give you an idea that you have some self-worth, that you're an all right person. And to be honest with you, just like we talked about earlier in this show, no one can regulate Black women but Black women. And no one can regulate Black men but Black men. Malcolm has this moment where he's talking about what white folk could actually do to help the cause for racial equality. And he tells a white girl nothing. And he says, I regretted that moment, because what they can do is go back to their own community and straighten out their own mess. But the fact that they don't, not in mass, not in a serious way, we have no choice for self-preservation purposes but to look at them all as the same. And the great Maya Angelou quote, I think it was Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And that's a harsh lesson that our people have not taken to heart. They really haven't. You know, if it comes down to any situation, I don't care if you're friends or what have you, and it's you or them, you better pick you, because they damn sure gonna pick them. And that's what it comes down to.
Definitely, Doc. I want to welcome Forecast Radio to the program. Peace and blessings, dear brother. I want to also welcome Brother Bakari to the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Bakari. Peace and blessings. Welcome. I want to go to the next video. You would think, Doc, that if you're crippled, you know, you got some type of injury, that you would receive delicate care from the enemy. You would think that, you know, okay.
Well, no, that's the enemy.
Yeah, well, but our people don't understand that they the enemy. But yet, you know, a level of decorum, you know, a level of professionalism that you would expect. Well, this brother, let's look and see what he got. Because, you know, we're not making this stuff up. This is actual factual. You could hold a Nuremberg trial over what we go through here in America.
He's like, I'm gonna get out, but hold on, I got trouble walking.
Oh, y'all did this for nothing, bro. Y'all did this for nothing. I got nerve damage. I got nerve damage, bro. What did I do to get this beating? All jokes aside, what did I do to get this beating?
I can't, my partner, man. So yeah, and in the vehicle. He's like, I'm gonna get out, but hold on, I got trouble walking. Skip the cane, started swinging out. I just grabbed it, break the vehicle, ripped it right out. Just walked there. Yeah. I told him like 20 times, you got out of the vehicle. Back to this.
So here you have it, where a disabled brother, as we all watch, being thrown from the car. His words, "What did I do to get this beating? What did he do to deserve what he received?" The lieutenant wanted to investigate because she said that there was corruption there. No protection for whistleblowers. She's a former lieutenant now. Then, in dealing with these police forces and their unions, they're gangs of criminals. And they like being criminals. They enjoy to be able to inflict whatever. And being on camera don't mean a damn thing to them. That don't mean shit. They're going to lie on their report and say whatever they want to say. You can't trust a word that comes out of their mouths. No DA in this land should allow police officers to testify because they're all liars. What did I do to deserve this beating? Doc, as we can see, as Sister Eleanor is telling us what's going on in the UK, that it's the same thing. What's going on there is going on here in America. I bet you it's going on in France. I bet you it's going on in any different of these white cracker countries. I bet you it's going on. They're in unison with how they think, how they behave when it comes to us. And we would think by now we would be in unison of how we see them and how the answer to the problem dealing with them, we should be on one accord. But we're not even on one accord. What does it take for those ones who don't see what we see, for them to be killed off? Is that what it takes? What say you, Doc? You on mute, Doc.
I think that what it's going to take is for this type of trouble, to land directly on their doorstep, for their child to be beaten, for their mother to be killed, for their grandmother to be harmed, for them to truly care. The vast majority of people are simply trying to stay out of the way. There is no greater characterization or summation of what we're seeing with law enforcement officers than the great saying of absolute power corrupts absolutely. They don't care nothing about those body cams. You know, you thought that those body cams would lessen what they do. Nah, all it's doing is recording it for all posterity to go ahead and for them to get, because you know they're getting together and they're watching those tapes. Look at this, look at this, look at this right here. Blah, blah, blah. Look how I slammed him down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's late in the game for you to be so naive and to believe that ain't who they are. It's who they are. And you got to respond accordingly. And that's just what it is. there just comes a moment where you got to call a spade, and that's just what it is. There's no way of getting around it.
You know, Doc, I called the brother in Alabama. We had talked about it on the program, who ran for office, won, but the crackers wouldn't let him take his office as mayor. You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
So I called him and I talked to him. And I told him that he should go and force his way in there. You know, and he's like, what do you mean, fight? Yeah, I mean, fight. I mean, physically. Yep. If they try to stop you from entering your office, you're the mayor, whoop their ass.
Yeah.
Period, point blank. You've been elected into a seat that it's been over 2 years and you still haven't taken your seat. And they have the nerve to say, well, we didn't know that this was no civil right violation. We're just doing what we do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, don't you understand? They don't see you as a human. Mm-hmm. They don't see you as a person with any humanity. They don't see you worthy of respect. They don't see the black people who voted for you as civilians of that county, of that city. They believe that they still own you. Whoop their ass and take your seat. Ain't nothing else to talk about.
It make your first order of business firing everybody up in there.
Exactly. But you want to guess what I was told? Bro, you crazy.
Yeah.
You crazy. We can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is Alabama. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if you don't understand, if you don't come out of that mindset, you'll always be begging for this cracker to give you something that you already earned. You've earned it. The citizens voted for you. You're going to let this man tell you, no, you can't come in. He ain't hit you. He ain't locked you up. He just verbally told you, you're not coming in here. You're not removing me from this seat. And you want to accept that? You're going to let that be your reality? But violence ain't the answer. Do you understand they committed violence against you? It is that violence against you that keeps you to be yes, massa. You understand that? And Doc, it was like, nigga, you need to be in a mental place. You crazy. I gotta go. Click. And it's like, really? If you don't have that kind of character, that no, I'm not gonna do that. Hell, if you have to raise the whole fucking town, make every black person come with you to put the cracker out of your seat.
I mean, throw a we getting ready to have an inauguration celebration. Y'all come down.
Exactly.
Mental illness, brother. Mental illness.
You know, it's like there's no way. You gotta come up in your thinking. Fear has gotten all up in you. Oh, I can't, man. You're crazy. I can't do that. What?
And he means that. I can't do that. Not that I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. There's something about the black psyche that when facing whites, many of us quake in our boots. Mm-hmm. We don't look at them as a similar level species that bleeds like we do, that can be killed just like we can be killed. They don't look at it like that. You know?
Mm-hmm. Ain't no way. You know,
it's just what it is. And until you join together, and if you ain't got no backbone, ain't nothing we can do.
Sister Eleanor is saying that it's going on in France. A white police officer sodomized a black journalist with a baton, causing internal injuries, and said it was an accident. Well, didn't that just happen a few years ago in New York City with Abner Louima?
Yeah.
And the police used a plunger, took him in the bathroom, rammed it up his behind, and then took it and rammed him in his mouth, bust his teeth out and everything. So these demons are on the same accord, regardless of where they are.
Oh yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, in the black demons that ate them. They're little minions. And we have far too many of those.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. And Jughead number 1 says, Brother Maurice, the problem is that globally, most of the black family, 99% of us, are cowards that do not want to see the truth. I would hope that number is not that high. I've been in past videos, I've said to our people on the continent that they need to rise up and overthrow their governments. I would hope our people begin to understand that we can't pray our way out of this. We can't plead our way out of this. We can't beg our way out of this. We can't give them a moral argument and think that they're going to be moral in the answer that they give us. They ain't going to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to fight them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to fight them. Period, point blank. We got to fight them. We're going to have to fight them. We're going to have to kill them. That's just the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't fight back, they coming to kill us. It is what it is.
No, I don't think that they're coming to kill us. It's ongoing right now.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I mean, it's time to whoop that ass. That's just the reality. We got to see things as they are. Police are not your friends. They are black people killers, point blank. That's what it is.
See, this is my question. And when we talked about the beating in Alabama and how sensational it was and all of that, the reaction was emotionalism. Now that the emotion has been removed from it, what y'all gonna do beyond make some memes, make it seem like it was good times? You're sitting at your computer warriors because you don't have no backbone. You ain't got no follow through. Okay, that was one moment. What are you gonna do now?
Mm-hmm.
And when you add it up, it was nice for people to reach out to the young man and this and that and all of that. But what are you doing long term? Because I guarantee you, your enemy cannot sleep. They are obsessed with continuing their domination and oppression of you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't rest while you sitting over here drunk, trying to sleep off a high.
Mm-hmm. And that's real. That's real. And we better be getting our mentality together. You got to have a certain orientation of mind that you're at war, period, point blank. You can't let a second go by where you're not realizing that's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be our orientation of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show one more video that we can look at. And so we've seen them do it to our women, our crippled. And let's look at this one.
A community on edge tonight. A Warren officer is caught on video assaulting a 19-year-old, and that officer is now facing serious charges. The officer is on unpaid leave tonight. Thanks for being with us. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skilly, and a security camera caught the assault as it happened. Victor Williams is hearing from community members tonight, and Victor, they want to make sure justice is served here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not just community leaders, but also just members of the community as well. And speaking of that community leader, he wants this officer held accountable.
We was looking at it. We was just talking about it, so it's definitely going around.
It's the surveillance video that everyone's talking about showing police brutality, allegedly at the hands of Warren officer Matthew Rodriguez.
He didn't raise his fist at him or anything. He probably did say some words that provoked him, but there still shouldn't have been no reason for him to hit him physically and drag him by his hair like the way he did.
Community activist and founder of Thousand Strong, Oliver Gand, is no stranger to police brutality. He says there is no excuse for the officer's actions.
I was angry. It was shock. Again, looking at something that always plays out as it seems to play out with police officers assaulting young black men.
He also says part of the reason why community relations between African Americans and police officers won't heal anytime soon.
What that officer did was basically reinforce the disdain that young black men have for people in authority.
And that's something we're hearing firsthand from Warren resident JT.
Honestly, truth to be told, I wasn't really shocked because it's something that you would see and it's expected because that's how they act. People react differently, especially from a black male. He ain't got no type of rights, as what they would say. Our rights don't matter to them.
That young man could have very well wound up dead in there. They would have told us anything. He shouldn't have put his hands on that young man.
And Devin and Kimberly, we know that that officer has been placed on administrative leave, but Mr. Gant is saying with that footage that has already been released, he should no longer have a job. Live in Warren tonight, Victor Williams, Local 4.
Obviously, still a ways to go on this road. We'll keep following it. All right, Victor.
A community on edge tonight.
Now, it seems to me that when the brother said, well, it seemed he should no longer have a job, that's low. He should be in jail. Mm-hmm. That was an assault that we just saw. He should be locked up already. But he home chilling, still getting paid. We call for stupid stuff. We call for stuff that don't even make the mark.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't have a job. No, he should be in jail. Because if you did it, your ass would be in jail. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets to go home. Or he may just lose his job. What? This double standard. No. No. And then, I don't care what he said out of his mouth. It didn't deserve what we just saw he got. You're supposed to be a professional. You're supposed to be, there's a standard. And he just showed us you just as much of a thug, a street thug as anything else. So you just broke the law. Your ass needs to be locked up. And since we can't get this, since this can't happen, then we have to be able to say, we're going to knock on this motherfucker's door. It's time for us to knock on his door, drag his ass out of his goddamn house, whoop his motherfucking ass, leave him right there on the fucking lawn. This is the type of uprising that has to go on, and it's because you won't do your freaking job. If they did their job, you wouldn't even have to have this conversation because they're doing what they're supposed to do. But because they don't do their job, what else do you leave for us to do? But they say that we're wrong. We're supposed to let things just play out.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't went down that road. We done tried that, and look at the results. We're looking at the real results of going down that peaceful road, letting the shit happen, and we just sit back and respond. We're looking at the results.
Mm-hmm.
And those results to me say, I don't want that. I don't want that. They doing stuff that, you know, again, it's on camera. They don't give a shit. There's other witnesses that see you doing it. They don't give a shit. But we start whooping that ass, they gonna give a shit. What say you, Doc?
You know, my thing is that even a knock on someone's door requires an element of organization and commitment. And I just don't see it amongst our people. We'll sit there and we'll talk. I mean, you look at, I'm aghast at the initial representation of the resistance is a sister standing out here with a goddamn bonnet on her fucking head. Okay, that's who y'all sending? That's y'all queen right there. That she doesn't take this serious enough that she even appears with decent, normal dress. That's who y'all got. That's who y'all sending. It's ridiculous. And you've heard me say this for years. What's your response? What's your organizational response? Because this reactionary, well, oh, you see what they did to that young brother. Well, we're going to talk about that in the barber shop and the beauty shop. But we ain't got no organization that's going to do nothing. A thousand strong, what the fuck they doing? Because they obviously don't have no influence. They obviously don't have no political power. They're going to print out a couple of leaflets and go ahead and go forward from there. And then, well, yeah, you know, we remember we talked about, we did so. Come on. It's too late in the game for you to act like, you know, to allow your cowardice to be shown in the form of the inability or the non-desire to politically organize. You got to come together collectively. You know, there's this great joke going around now that Bernie Mac told. And Bernie Mac was talking with a white guy and a Mexican guy, and they told him that the Lord was right down the road. And Bernie said, y'all finna go down there. So I need to talk to him. They said, Bernie, don't go down there. You know you didn't make it. Your name is not in the book of life. Bernie says, man, forget that. I'm going to talk to God. He goes down there, and the Lord tells him, he says, Bernie, you didn't make it. He said, but you do have one chance. You got one chance. He said, if you can ask me a question that I can't answer, I'll let you in. So Bernie looks at the Lord and he says, okay, one question that you can't answer. He said, this is the question. When will black people ever stick together? And God's response was, open them up, let him in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it starts with a conception of brotherhood and sisterhood, that we recognize the humanity in each other, the worth of each other, that it matters if Brother Maurice don't make it home. It matters if Deacon of Reality is taken out, harmed. And everybody else here, you matter. But we're at a point now where we won't even acknowledge each other when we see each other. And we've been at this point for 30, 40 years now. I work at an HBCU. There are days that I walk that campus and not a single person acknowledges me. Not a single. Walk right by you. I call it the 10-yard stare down. The 10-foot stare down. When somebody gets about 10 feet from you, if they don't want to speak to you or acknowledge you, they divert their eyes down to the ground. And if you look out the peripheral of your vision, by the time they get equal with you, that head goes immediately back up. And they go on about their way. And this is a black college that sits atop a former slave plantation, the Alta Vista plantation. And even under those circumstances, the vulgarity, the disrespect for professors, for adults, it's there. There is no reverence for anything. One of the things that we do not do is we do not walk on the grass because we don't know where our ancestors are buried on their yard. And with every generation, you're seeing new dirt paths created because they just cutting across what could potentially be graves.
Mm.
And you want to organize them? Those are your foot soldiers right there? Please. One could argue that they were rendered useless as soon as they came out the womb. They're reading Helen Keller. They're reading Anne Frank. Have no idea who Assata Shakur is. Many of them told me they never heard the name Malcolm X until their senior year of high school.
Wow.
We've lost the race because we've allowed other people to pour mindless bullshit into their minds. How do we get them back? It's next to impossible because they've already been convinced that you a nigga. So what could you possibly have to say to me? Tuned out, turned off. That's where our youth are.
Wow. Wow. You know, there's so much that has to be done. And we have to organize. We have to be on the point. We have to be sharper than sharp. Because this fight that we fight is a global fight. And we have to be so in tune that whatever we do it here in America, it happens over there in the UK. If it happens in the UK, then we do it over there in France. It has to be organized where to the point where the cracker knows, well, we got to start thinking twice because what they're going to do, the response won't just be here in America, it'll be worldwide. Because worldwide, we outnumber them. There's going to take strong teaching to correct the problem you're talking about, Doc. And when I say strong teaching, I mean you're going to have to whoop some ass to get them to understand that you will respect this land. You will respect our ancestors, or we will whoop your ass until you get that fucking message. The time of talking nice is over. I really believe that it's over. You're going to get it one way or the other. Now, the best will come from a word. They'll get cleaned up and straightened up from the word. But the rest, we're going to have to whoop that ass. Then they'll get in line and do right. Because they understand that the correction that's going to come is going to be hard, swift, and strong. And they ain't going to want to meet that. Now, that's an organizing that we got to do. I believe it's the logical next step. And we have to be able to look at that and see it as it is and begin to enforce that. And I believe that once we make that strong stand, it'll be like a river rolling, a mighty thunder, because it's time. We done tried everything else. We done been peaceable. We've become so docile that that the children that we produce just destroying where we live at because we don't want to step to the point. It's time up for that. We got to do what need to be done. We got to stand up and we got to make that happen. We got to, Brother Jughead, we got to deal with our traitors. Everybody got to know that there's going to be a price that you going to pay. You run afoul of us. Simple as that. It got to be done. It's black first or nothing else. That's the way. Judge Hatchett, you know, Doc, she was molested, groped by the white sheriff. And, you know, I watched her give her feelings on his sentence. And she was like, I'm a judge. I'm a judge. But that didn't save me from this man doing what he did to me. He took something from me I can't get back. And now she's like, I don't know how I'm going to have to deal with this. But she thought because she was a judge, that gave her more respect, more power, more protection. But it didn't. But it didn't. These little titles that we got don't add no protection to us because in the eyes of the oppressor, you're still a nigger. They don't save you. And we got to be able to understand that. Our strength, our unity, and our blackness. Because we got the same enemy. That same mindset has to be destroyed. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Doc, as we move to our closing comments, I had to, you know, Freedom, my youngest daughter, I had to call her school. They did a little thing on slavery. And where her and her mama lives at, you know, she goes to a majority white school. And they were talking about slavery. And, you know, the white children in class was making a joke about it. And so, and he was like, teachers like, and slavery ended. And one of the white boys said, damn, I wish it didn't. And so Freedom went and complained to the teacher. Teacher said, oh, we were just playing. We were just playing. It was no biggie. Oh, yeah, it is. So, of course, I called the school. I talked to the principal. And I tell him what happened. And I let him know this is unacceptable. You talk about wanting to protect how white folks, how y'all children feel. What about ours? Now, I expect something to be done before I have to come and do what need to be done. Period, point blank. We're not negotiating here. Something needs to happen or I will take a trip. That's just where it is. They want to protect theirs with what's not being taught about slavery, but they don't give a fuck about how they deal with ours, about this mentality that these whites still want the slavery shit to continue. You know, what would be your thoughts and what message would you send to Freedom, you know, about her encounter?
You know, the most significant message is quite simply, I applaud you for, number one, not being desensitized to the denigration of Black folk. That's number one. The second thing that I would say to you is quite simply, you got to continue to fight them in whatever way you can on every single front and realize that they are who they are. And when I say they, I'm not just talking about your classmates. I'm I'm talking about your teacher. I'm talking about the administrator, the principal, the school board. We have to continue to fight them. And while we're fighting against them, we have to continue to build ourselves up and understand that the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. There aren't going to be many of us out here doing this work. And some of us who are out here doing this work are secretly listening so they can run back and tell white folk what we're doing so they can get a bigger piece of pork fat the next time victuals are going to be handed out. So stand strong, but make sure you take care of your psychological stability. Make sure you laugh on a daily basis. Don't let their hatred and anger turn you bitter. Find your spaces, carve your space out so that you're able to remain a strong, burgeoning young Black woman. And I applaud you once again.
So, thank you, Doc. And I want to welcome Earth Angel 1105 remix. But Jughead just made me remember something. I was thinking a while back when dealing with Candace Owens. She's a Black woman, but she ain't on our side. But I was thinking now, if I saw a cracker whooping her ass and I just walk by and just let it happen, don't interfere, am I sending the wrong message? Should I intervene to stop it? Because if I walk by and let it happen, the message that I would be sending is, this nigga done let me beat this woman up. I can beat any Black woman up and ain't nothing gonna happen. Or do I send the message of, no, even though I don't like her, I don't even consider her one of us, I'm whooping your ass because her skin color. How do you see that? Because that's really perplexing, right? Because if you ignore it, then you make the next Black woman unsafe. If you jump in and do something about it, then you protecting her who don't need no damn protection. How do you see that?
I think that you have to have a standard that regardless of the sickness that is being exhibited and spewed by our people, that one has to still hold that standard. We can't leave our people who are the personification of the great verse from Jesus, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. Sometimes you got to go ahead and aid and help a fool just on GP. So I would say to step in and intercede. I just don't think you should run when you do it.
I would hope that if that's the case of stepping in and save her, that she would come to her ways because she knows exactly what it is that she does.
But I mean, what room is there then to come to her senses or her ways? She's fully aware of what she's doing. And that's what I mean by there has to just be a standard that you adhere to and follow. And you apply that standard evenly across the board. You can't allow, it's almost a quid pro quo, this for that I'm going to help you with this and I expect for you to come with that. No, you help with this because you're righteous, but don't make it a common thing. Because while that effort and those resources and that danger that's associated with aiding the ungrateful us's could have been used and better and allocated better and more wisely in another arena.
All right, excellent. We got a caller coming in. Peace and blessings. You reached the Doc and the Radical. Oh, peace.
I do apologize. Calling very late. I do apologize.
It's no problem.
Yeah, and brother, greeting to you, brother. I've got his name. I do apologize. I haven't had it on the broadcast. Greeting back to him also, and the chat, Mama X, all the people in the chat room. Yeah, the topic today was very powerful, Brother Morris, because police brutality. Here in the UK, also, it's also bad here, also in the UK as well. As Eleanor said, it's global. That's why I call it, because I think it's global. So therefore, the solution must be global. The solution must be global. It's not brain surgery, it's common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere we go, in Tasmania, just like Tasmania, Australia, the last 3,000 years, we've got wiped out, killed systematically, methodically, last 3,000 years, not 12 years, these 3,000 years, it's been going on. The people of China were black, Japan were black. Where are they now? They've been removed. Hence, we're being slowly emptying and killed. So hence, we have to be, our response must be global and collective and systematic. That's common sense. Now, regarding killing the soul, not killing the soul, killing the soul, and what do I want to help her? No. If I say black woman being attacked, I'm going to defend her straight away. That's my default position. But I should have trained like killing the Solomons. I want to help her. Let me explain why. See, killing the Solomons, she was the crime of when our brother Truffaut was killed by that devil from Derek Chauvin. She defended his killer. Now, for what now? My brother Morris, you're in the ex-military, is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Let me ask you a silly question, if I may. If you were in that, let's say Iraq or Palestine. If Palestine would spend that, is it not the Palestine and Israel have a conflict? Oh, yeah, obviously, Israel is in there, Palestine.
Right.
Imagine Palestine, right. Imagine from Palestine defending Israeli men, killing Palestinian men. How long was she breathing? What Palestine was defending? Can you imagine? I'll say Iraq. Imagine from Iraq defending, say, NATO soldiers killing Iraqi men. That's both Iraq. How long was she be breathing? What part of it is, brother, is that no, our community will tolerate traitors. We tolerate too much. People like Curtis Owens, Jason Shiplock, Condoleezza Rice, Simone Debo Sanders, Jesse Matthew Sigmund Peterson. These killers, people are lucky because we tolerate too much. In our community, they'd be dead. They're lucky. We tolerate too much. And our community will tolerate such traitors in their midst. They're lucky. Look at that devil, Larry River, defending my vice killer, Darren Wilson. Imagine that. Imagine if your son, head of it, Doug Morris, someone looks like you, defending your son's killer. How would you feel?
I would have to kill him. I would have to kill him. He would not be able to live.
I'm telling you about Morrison. This is Pan African. I've been Pan African since 1991. I always talk about my air on traitors because I've done my research about Morris. Everywhere I've done, it's with the traitors. There was an African that sold each other 5 years ago, and I put it in Nigerian sense. There was people that portrayed Nat Turner, they might BC, Gabriel Cross on plantations, all traitors. People that portrayed Malcolm X, Gene Roberts, people that portrayed Fred Hampton, William O'Neill.
Right.
People that portrayed Lumumba, Mobutu. Until we deal with these traitors, we will not progress. So, that's why I'm vociferous in my hatred for these traitors. I forget the European. I focus on the traitors first. Once you do once you clean the house, it'll be easy. Let me calm down. Let me calm down. Let me get word about it. I'm just saying.
Yes, sir. I think you're definitely right. And Doc, he was saying, that we have to be able to deal with the traitors, first. It's no matter whether you're in Iraq or in Palestine, they all deal with their traitors. And we can't take a position where we look the other way when it comes to our traitors, because it's those who have traded against us who will do the enemy's bidding and will come against us if we continue to, you know, give them that free pass.
Correct. And they're so bold in the condemnation. Look at, for instance, these crews that are seeking against reparations. They're so bold and arrogant in their condemnation. How dare they? You put that, America, FDA, you put that country. Record resistance. It weren't for you, forefathers, brothers. Record resist. You put that country. You deserve your reparations. Your sweat and blood. Over 3 centuries of blood and sweat in that country. And these black coons. I mean, it's unbelievable. I want to know planet they're from, Brother Morris. These coons. I want to know planet they're from. It's shocking me. The level of stupidity and treachery is amazing, really. It's shocking, really. But, you know, but this time will come. I'm not calling violence yet, because we're still behind enemy lines. But what I'm trying to do is get atmosphere where we look at traitors, the same when we look at rapers and peat farmers. See, look, I'm a problem, Brother Morris. I mean, in the past, I played black people are traitors as just the poor simpleton that doesn't know that that's not better. That's not the case. People like Kundus Owens, Jason Shitlock, all these other Alan Keys, they know what they're doing. They're not confused. They look at that position, they put our black wall up and down, we're living on the right, so F black people. I don't sway the program. The mentality is every man for himself. That's the mentality. They're also individualists. Like I said, they're like Esau in the Bible. They're selling the whole people for the pottage. They're Esau. They're the Esau.
Definitely. Definitely, I agree. Doc, did you hear his comments? You want to?
I could barely hear them, but the idea of dealing with these multiple flavors of traitors, you know, you first identify them, and you have to ostracize them and silence them in some way, you know, whatever your choice of ostracizing them is. But we have to be very, very clear of the fact that what we're really talking about is the need for a global mass movement. And that thing is made markedly different when you have Ghanaians who were educated by the Brits, and you have black folk who were educated by just flat out off-brand white folk. You have our Brazilian brothers and sisters who speak Portuguese, so we're all over the place. We have to once again revisit Marcus Mosiah Garvey's teachings of Pan-Africanism and drop all of these pretentious labels that we have. You are purely a person of African descent. In the moment that you accept that, and others accept it as well, and stop any of the infighting and backbiting, because we recognize that we are all dealing with the same enemy. As soon as you realize that, you go from being a global minority to the global majority instantaneously at that moment. Now the question becomes, is your mind clear enough as a people to accept Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, Egyptians, Brits as your kin that you're willing to work for and work with and be able to celebrate each and every success and mourn each and every failure as if they're family, because that's what they are. And I yield, brother.
Fantastic.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, fantastic. So I say one more thing before I go, please. I do apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, as I made, brother, please, I don't think I've been fatalistic. That part I made, that 1% being, that 9% being us being cowards. Look, I'm not saying that we're bad people, we're not. That cowardice through conditioning. We're not bad, no. See, that can be reversed. How we reverse that? Simple. The 1% that all do weight, that I strong like myself, you, the people in the chat. When we come together, build out Qatar, build out Black Singapore, Black Israel, that will galvanize the rest. That will be the catalyst that wakes up the other 99%. I'd know that. See, conditioning goes both ways. Association goes both ways. So I know we'll win. It's inevitable. You know? But unfortunately, we're losing that because there's no people are in the fight, but the minority, the majority on the sidelines watching. That's the problem. You know? They're on sidelines being observers. We don't need observers. We need people that get in the fights. Literally, by the way, pull out a resource together all their black Singapores, all their black Qatar, all their black Abu Dhabis. So we'll leave these people. Right now, we have enemy lines, so they have to be strategic, what we say. But once we go with our black Pakistan, once we go there, get our nukes, our space programs, our black Qatars, then we can do what we please. But, you know, we have to be, but I'm not calling violence yet, please. I mean, I don't want you flagged. Because like killing the Sorens, as the brother said, let's ostracize them. They can make it hot for them. You know, when a police officer kills a brother or sister, don't just criticize the police officer, accuse that defendant, go to the house, pull up by the house too, and criticize them too. And when killing the Sorens defending Derek Chauvin, we should pull up at a house too. We should pull up at a house. That's what we should have done. When Larry Elder criticized defending Darren Wilson, he killed Mike Brown, we should pull up at his house. And then, Elder, what are you doing? We should pull up and give him what for? Verbally, not physically, verbally. That's what we should do. Pull up at the coons too. Look at the cops. Pull up both the cops and the coons. Let me go calm down now, because I'm thinking, sometimes I call him and I get too hot-headed, but I love my people.
Most definitely.
I see us being brutalized. I see us being brutalized by people that are less than us. It's unbelievable. How we're allowing people to beat these pigskins to intimidate us. It's unbelievable. It's embarrassment. Lions, should be embarrassed by hyenas. Lions are not meant to be bullied by hyenas.
Exactly.
That's a natural an abomination. It's unnatural.
That's right.
You know, leave it at that. Sorry. I'm wrong. It's embarrassing. These people are intimidating us and bullying us. Because Allah being bullied by hyenas. It's a natural ecological abomination. It's unnatural.
That's right. That's right. It is unnatural.
The rest of them got to calm down now. I'm affecting all people in the chat. I'm going to talk too fast. Let me let's get some subtitles. I know I'm too fast because I know time is short. I do apologize if I ramble on too quickly. I'll make sure I slow down more. And because I love my people. I love our people. I know that we should not be in that position.
Most definitely.
That's why I'm so angry sometimes.
Most definitely.
You know?
Yes, it's understood. Definitely, it's understood. It's understood. We know you love it, your people, and hey, that passion gets going. You know, because it's time now. It's time. So never apologize. It is what it is. You got to let it out. You got to let it out. Yeah. Most definitely.
It's not just passion. Yeah. It's also conviction. It's righteous conviction. That's what it's not. Because I know we're right. It's conviction. It's not righteous passion. Because I know we're right. Our cause is just. Our cause is just. 3,000 years of genocide, brother. 3,000 years. Not 4 years. 3,000 years. 3 millennia of genocide. 3 millennia. It's got to stop.
That's right.
Anyway, but let me go. Let me go now. Love and you from the UK. I'm a brother and a broadcast in the chat. Love, respect. Take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll see each other next time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, beloved. Peace and blessings. All right. All right. Again, that was our brother from the UK, Brother Jughead. I see Sister Eleanor says it's 12 a.m. in the UK, so she's bidding us all good night. Good night, Sister Eleanor.
Nice.
Peace and blessings. Doc, you want to add any more closing comments?
Just the imploring of those who are with us tonight to share what we're doing here. Because in many ways, what we're talking about is trying to counterbalance, to counteract, to fight against a monster, a media monster that has the ability, that has a far reach and has the ability to intoxicate, to titillate our people with silliness and counterproductive things. So if you could, if you enjoy what we're doing here, you believe it's of some worth and utility, share it. Share it with those within your inner circle. Share it with those who in your heart and mind would vibe with what we're doing here. But also, I give you the same warning that I give Brother Maurice. Now, if you bring them up in here, they're your responsibility. You gotta. Brother Maurice has a tendency of, I don't know where he find these people at, but he can find some strays and bring them up in here. So with all seriousness, share us. And really, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Manhood Racing Culture. Just subscribe and share that as well. So propagate propaganda, and let us be the ones who are pouring into not just this generation, but also generations before us and those who are bound to come after us. And I yield, brother.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. And, you know, I'm going to say this, and I definitely thank our brother, Jughead from the UK, for giving us his time, energy. Thank everybody in the chat. Thank Sister Eleanor as well over there in the UK. We thank everybody that's here in America, that's watching us. We love you all. We actually, again, as Doc said, to please share. Share Doc's channel, Manhood Racing Culture. Share. Because we have to be able to get the message out. We have to manufacture consent, get our people understanding what the time it is and what need to be done. It is on us today. I want you, when you're referring to what is called the police, you call them black people killers. That's what I want you to say. No, they're black people killers. Because when you say that, and as striking that it is, it's going to make people think. It's going to make people think about what they're doing. Call them what they are, black people killers, because that is the reality. And I'd like to thank everybody again for joining and giving your time. And as the Deacon of Reality say, it's time for that. You kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black First. Today, tomorrow, and forever. We love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Peace.
Peace. So you better get the message and get it straight.
You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that.
Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.